So I was talking to someone the other day about what they could do in order to improve as a guitar player. And one of my suggestions, which I think caught them by surprise a little bit, was that they should start singing. Now, there's a lot of good reasons why you should take up singing. I thought I'd go through them this week and just see what you thought about them as well. So I guess the first area that it really helps is in developing your inner ear, or what goes on inside your head, and connecting that to the outside world. You see, if for a lot of people, when you're composing, even when you're playing solos and things like that, you'll have a tune, you'll have an idea going on in your mind, but when you actually try and get that out, when you try and play it, there's a block there. There's a barrier between the kinds of thoughts that you're having and what you can actually realize on the instrument. And you find that if you start to sing these lines, if you can start to connect what goes on in your head with what comes out of your voice, you'll start to break down that barrier, and hopefully you'll develop more as a musician in general. So that's actually a really powerful thing that you get once you start to vocalize the things that you're thinking about. The second area, it kind of builds on that as well, and that's when you're playing guitar, when you're playing a guitar solo, you need to connect with your audience. And one of the ways of connecting with the audience is to sound like a human being, basically. To not sound so mechanical, to not sound robotic, but actually to put some emotional content into your playing and put some phrasing, some human phrasing in there. And people can relate to that, and they enjoy you playing that much more if you do that. And a way of doing that is to start singing the lines. And a lot of people actually sing the lines as they're playing them as well. And the reason for that is it naturally puts phrasing into what you're doing. You naturally take a break at the end of a phrase because you've got to inhale to sing the next line again. So you build this natural structure into the kinds of the music that you're making. You start introducing vibrato, so much more vocal vibrato into the music that you're playing. The lines that you play become much more sort of melodically interesting because you're having to vocalize them as well as you're playing them. So those are really good. Those are really useful things that you get out of it. The other thing you get is a much more emotional commitment to your playing as well. And actually, you get this if you start to perform. If you start to perform and sing as well. One of the problems you have, one of the bad habits guitarists can have, especially when you're working on technique all the time. See, when you're working on technique all the time, you're working on motor skills, you're trying to get your head out of what you're playing, you're trying to play by reflex, because that's the only way of getting the speed up. But when you play like that, you can be thinking of something completely different, and your body naturally can just play the music, which means that you don't have that same emotional commitment to your playing, or you risk not having that same emotional commitment to your playing. But it's much more difficult to do that if you're singing. When you sing a line, you have to sort of put your whole self into it, and as soon as you do that, you have that emotional commitment to what you're playing, and suddenly it starts to come out in your playing as well. So that's a really useful thing that you get out of it. The other thing when you're starting to sing live is that it pushes your boundaries. If you're the kind of person who gets really nervous when you're playing, you get really nervous as you're approaching a guitar solo or a solo section or something like that, singing can really help you with this. Because certainly it helped me, because suddenly it forces you to push those boundaries. You know, when you're nervous about something, if you push against it, if you feel the fear and do it anyway, as the book says, you naturally grow as a person. The things that used to scare you in the past don't scare you so much anymore, and you have another set of boundaries that you can work on. And throughout life, if you keep working on your boundaries, you grow as a person. And the same is true with singing and performing. For me, I was always nervous about singing. I was always confident about playing the guitar. So as soon as I started singing live, my confidence in my playing when I was performing in front of people, suddenly I had no fear about that anymore. The singing generated the nerves, but then falling back to play the guitar solos and things like that, that was easy. That was the simple stuff. So I didn't make the kinds of mistakes that you make when you do that kind of thing anymore. So that was really powerful for me. And I guess the final thing that you get out of singing, especially if you have the confidence of doing it live, is that you become a much more useful musician. Suddenly people want to start to use you in their bands. You get more offers of playing with other people as well. There are a lot of very good guitarists out there, and being able to sing and having the confidence of singing is one of the things that will differentiate you from the people who don't have that confidence. So if you have that confidence, if you have that skill about you, suddenly you get exposed to more opportunities, which is really useful as well. So that was it. Hopefully that was useful for you. Hopefully if you've never tried singing, you give it a go, because you will get a lot out of it. You will get a lot out of it as a person, but it will improve your guitar playing as well. So that's it. Hopefully that was useful for you, and we'll chat next time. Goodbye.